Before we dive into today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports, do you want more Vikings draft content on your YouTube page? Show me. Like today's video, I'm going to really be trying to ramp up the draft coverage here at Vikings Now. So if you guys want more of that with the, unlikely that the Vikings make the playoffs, drop a like on this video, send me a message, and I'll give you guys the best draft content out there. Hit that like button, and let's dive into it. What's going on, guys? My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome into Vikings Now. Coming up on today's show, we're looking at the top 10 draft targets for the Minnesota Vikings, kind of giving my big board for the Minnesota Vikings and where I think Kwesi Adofo-Mensah will go in this year's draft and break down those top 10 prospects. But right now, where the Vikings do stand, they do currently hold the 12th overall pick in this year's draft, which is a good spot to be in, and especially, do think this is one of the best QB classes we have seen in a while. So it kind of offers them that flexibility. They could move up or they could stand pat and draft a QB there, but we'll dive into that later. But overall draft picks for the Minnesota Vikings as it stands right now. They do obviously have the 12th overall pick, like I did mention. Then they also had the 43rd, the 109th, 127, 156, 161, and 177, and also 186. So they got about 8 picks right there in the top 200, which is a great thing to know. Obviously, some of those come from T.J. Hawkinson. The Lions sent us an extra one that is the Darius Smith one. So the Vikings have accumulated a good little haul for this year's draft, which gives them the opportunity to trade up. But overall, Vikings draft needs, this is a list I put together. As it stands right now, I'm not saying, and this isn't in order, but quarterback, obviously a need. Even if you do bring back Kirk Cousins, I do still think you need to address quarterback in this year's draft. I do think running back is also up there. You guys know I'm a big fan of Ty Chandler, but Madison has looked cooked. Kene Wangu is just a gadget guy, and I don't think Ty Chandler could truly be an RB1. Defensive line also. I think the Vikings need to get bigger in the trenches. Edge rusher, I think, besides Daniil Hunter, I like DJ Wonnum. He had a good year this year. I like Patrick Jones, but they definitely need to add more talent. Then cornerback, definitely the biggest weakness heading into last year's draft, and honestly, it's one of the biggest weaknesses heading into this year's draft. So those are 5 that I gave you guys, but let me know, what is the Vikings' biggest draft need before I dive into these top 10 prospects on the Vikings' big board? Let me know, what is the Vikings' biggest draft need down in the comments section. So number 1 for me on my big board, and you guys may be saying, whoa. Why don't you have Caleb Williams on here? So I wanted to go a little more realistic. I really don't see a scenario where the Vikings do trade up to the first overall pick with the Bears or even the second overall pick to get Drake May. So who would be my number 1 player? If he was there at 12 or if the Vikings did trade up, I honestly do think it would be Jayden Daniels. And I went back and forth with him and Michael Penix, but I think for right now, I'm in the camp of Jayden Daniels. And I think Jayden Daniels, if he were going to go to a situation, because he is, in my opinion, a huge boom or bust prospect. And with, prospects like this, I think the support system they go to matters immensely. And I do think the Minnesota Vikings would be able to offer him one of the better support systems in the NFL. Franchise left tackle, franchise right tackle, franchise tight end, the best wide receiver in the NFL, and Jordan Addison, an up-and-coming top 10 receiver. I think Jayden Daniels, he has that Lamar Jackson talent. Keep him in the purple and gold, and I got him number 1. If he would ever somehow get drafted by the Vikings, I'll tell you what, we would be absolutely throwing a party here on the channel. But let's kick it to number 2 on my big board. It's got to be the man who just absolutely tore up that Texas defense, Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback for Washington. Like I just said, he dominated Texas in the college football playoff semifinal, 76% completion percentage, 430 yards, and he was just absolutely diamond that Texas secondary. He does play in front of, or he does play behind one of the best offensive lines in the league, throwing to some top 10 receiver talent, but his arm talent looks phenomenal. You saw it on display against Texas, and it was very tough for me. Jayden Daniels, Michael Penix, what one I wanted to go to, but I did ultimately decide to have Penix above anybody else as of right now, but obviously that can change. And now this guy right here, J.J. McCarthy, I feel like he's been getting slept on by a lot of, draft analysts and just overall, people in the media because, listen, his game at Michigan is not the, I'm going to air it out, I'm going to put up 500 yards, I'm going to go for 5 touchdowns. He is more of, I'm going to control the game, and I hate using the term game manager, but he is. I mean, he is one of the best game managers we have seen in college football history, considering he is one of the winningest quarterbacks in college football history. Harbaugh already declared him the greatest and most accomplished Michigan quarterback that have gone to that university, and Tom Brady actually agreed with him just because of everything he's done. I'm a big fan of J.J. McCarthy. Obviously, people have their opinions on him and don't think he could be that good in the league, but I think he could be absolutely fantastic. So that's why I do have him at 3. And if you guys notice, I do have 3 quarterbacks leading my board right there. But let's dive into number 4 here for me, and I actually got 4 and 5 kind of lumped in together. I got 2 edge rushers. I got Dallas Turner and Jared Verse. Maybe the Vikings say, we're not drafting a quarterback this year. We want to go in a totally different direction and just build around Kirk. Well, I think they would go edge with Dallas Turner or Jared Verse out of Florida State. Because, listen, it's no guarantee that the Vikings will bring back Danielle Hunter. I mean, that is no given at all. It's not 100% he is coming back. So it kind of gets me to this. The Vikings do need to add more talent at that edge position. And listen, these guys are pretty much generational. I mean, I love Dallas Turner and Jared Verse. Anytime I watch Bama play this year, he jumps off the screen. That's always so big for me when I'm watching these edges. Like, how are you game wrecking a game? How are you jumping off the screen? And they both do that, especially Jared Verse as well at Florida. These are my top 5 right now. Kind of kept it a little chalk, but I want to address the biggest issues here for the Vikings. I think that's future franchise quarterback play and then also edge rusher. So that is my top 5 right there. I'll get to my other 5 here in a second, but I do want to give a huge shout out to Prize Picks, today's sponsor of today's edition of Vikings Now. If you guys head to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use that promo code CLNS, you're going to get a first deposit match up to $100. This is the lineup I'm going to be rolling with this weekend for Week 18 in the NFL. Hate saying Week 18. I can't believe the season's already to an end. But I'm going less on passing yards for C.J. Stroud, more on Drake London and Bijan Robinson rushing yards, and then Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to ride his hot hand in Indy and go more on that as well at 80.5. Those are my picks. If you guys want to ride my picks or if you guys want to fade my picks, make sure you guys do it at Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use that promo code CLNS. They'll give you a first deposit match up to $100. Let's talk about the secondary here for a little bit because the Vikings obviously have a need there as well. I got 2 guys back-to-back here coming in at 6 and 7. I got Nate Wiggins and Kool-Aid McKinstry. Both these guys are absolutely dominant in the secondary. They both can get sticky in man coverage, and they're both extremely versatile. And that's always the key word with Brian Flores is if he is the DC again next season. He loves versatile corners. He loves dudes that can come down and tackle, and both these guys play that physical brand of football. It would be absolutely great if the Vikings were able to land these guys. But again, is cornerback a bigger need than of them going all in on a quarterback? It's going to be so interesting to see how the Vikings play this. But if they would land either of these guys at 12 or maybe they trade back up into the late first round and draft these guys, you're getting some talent there because, listen, I like what Mekhi Blackmon did this season. I think he was pretty good. He impressed me for a third rounder. But Byron Murphy disappointed. The Vikings definitely need a true tier 1, blue chip corner and just another blue chip member of that secondary. I think both these guys answer that bell. But let's kick it to a running back here, actually. And this would be maybe a second or third round pick. But I do have Trey Benson, a guy to keep your eyes on. Anytime I watch him play for Florida State, he runs angry. I feel like he just looks like he's playing a different speed than the other guys there on the football field. And I like Ty Chandler. Do I love him as an RB1? No, I think Trey Benson could be your workhorse. I think the Vikings just need to get new legs in that running back room. I think he got incredibly stale. I feel like just overall as the group, they just never really make men miss too much. I mean, Madison just drove me crazy this year. His rushing yards over expected, like the next-gen stats, is just awful. And Ty Chandler's honestly isn't too much better as well. So this would be kind of your home run pick here, going Trey Benson. If you wanted to go a running back and completely building a stacked group of weapons around Kirk Cousins, this would be my choice at that spot. But a big man in the middle, and actually 2 big men in the middle. I'm going to T'Vondre Sweat and Jerson Newton, the big fella out of Texas, and then the big fella out of Illinois. Both played defensive tackle. Both these guys are just, run stuffers. They are going to take on double team blocks, open up the lanes for a guy like Ivan Pace, and the Vikings just need to get better in the trenches. I have felt like for the Kevin O'Connell era in Minnesota, I really do feel like we have just been a soft football team. And I understand we won 13 games last year. How could you be a soft football team? I think we won a lot of those games on the outside and with the talent around Jefferson and, obviously, last year with Thielen and this year with Addison and just, Kirk Cousins kind of carrying that load. I want the Vikings to start going the Niners route, start going the Eagles route, focus on the trenches here and really beef up that offensive line. Because funny enough, the last defensive lineman the Vikings have taken in the first round, who is it? Sharif Floyd back in 2013. You got to get some more first-round talent. You got to get some blue chip talent there. And either of those guys, I think, would be an absolute great choice. But let me know. I just gave you 10 guys that I could see the Vikings drafting. Let me just give you, or you guys just got to give me one. Who is one player the Vikings need to draft? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. As always, guys, we're going to be ramping up our draft coverage here, so make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Help us out here on Vikings Now. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikings.